the next thing we're going to look at is dependencies. Now, these are dependencies between work groups or projects within an overall program. This is not intending to try to deal with basic predecessor-successor relationships within one overall project. Microsoft Project is really good for that in terms of doing those basic relationships. This is where different groups are using different methodologies or different Microsoft project schedules, and we need to have the handoffs tracked in between individual projects. So there's this concept of a sending work group and a receiving work group, and then also a type of internal and external. So what I've got here is I've got 7 dependencies total. 2 of them are closed. It took an average of 61 days to close. Now, whenever anybody sets up a dependency, the first thing they do is define the dependency, who needs to send, who needs to receive, and then what they do is they say, here's the earliest date I can consume this dependency, and here's the latest date I can consume this dependency, after which I've got a critical path issue where it will delay the overall project. So when they go in and they say, I need this by no earlier than June and no later than July, that creates the overall dependency window. Now, what these are showing are the number of days from the earliest date and the days. So this is telling me that on average, these two dependencies are 13 days past the earliest due date, which is okay. It's still within the window. And here it's the average days from the latest due. So we're still 29 days before the latest due date. So I'm in that window, so I'm all happy with that. On the remaining dependencies, the open dependencies, I have a bit more of a problem here. Average days, 185 days outstanding. That is what it is. But what this is telling me is that I'm 95 days past the earliest that the respective work groups could consume this dependency, and I've only got 10 days left before I'm delayed. So this is starting to turn a little yellowy. You can see it's a different color of green, and it's starting to get yellowish. It would then go red if now we're delayed because they're past the latest consumable date. And down here, this is just telling me all of my different dependencies. I could subset that by selecting the various different work groups. Now, I can also go in and get the individual details. So here I've got the program needs guidance from legal and regulatory. And I can see all of the various different statuses, when it was raised, when the earliest due date was, and the latest due date, and so forth. So it really gives me a good, clear understanding of the various different dependencies and the statuses of each one of them. Now, another way of looking at this, and this is really depending on people's taste, but is this chord graph. Now, what this shows you here is it says, this is overall finance as a sending work group. Now, they're sending to technology 1 item, they're sending to HR 1 item, they're sending to data 1 item. So these people are providers of dependencies to these consumers. Same goes with retail. Retail is sending to real estate. So I can, like always, I can selectively bring this down. So if I just wanted finance, I could see that finance here in purple is sending to technology, HR, and data. And for each one, I can get a sense of what they are. So again, this is subject to people's taste. If it works for people, that's great. If not, we can just go back to this, this sort of chart.